What is up, my lifted legends? It's your boy Adrian here, bringing you guys some more tips and tricks here today for PUBG. I'm trying to take you guys from noob to pro here today with this video, and we got a few new tips here today due to the fact as of recently we just got the Vikendi update, so we have a couple new features in game you guys may not have known about that I actually want to go over today, and they will help you improve your gameplay. I definitely will say that. So if right now you can't make it to the top 10, hopefully by the end of this video you'll be able to get some tips that'll be able to push you into top 10. Also, link in the description to my first video from noob to pro with top 20 tips. That'll be in the description, so if you guys want to get some of those tips, those will help you out too with advancing your game. So we got about 40 total tips out now officially with this video, so hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. So the first tip we are starting off with that I've recently been doing myself is actually crouching before I shoot. It helps me center my shot, and it also helps with the recoil. I've noticed quite a bit. So especially if you're trying to use an AK out at a range or a DMR, you definitely want to crouch before you fire those shots just to kind of help with the recoil. It is a major key to success as far as, you know, getting kills in the game and whatnot. And being able to control recoil, dude, being able to control the recoil is such a huge part of PUBG. A lot of people don't understand you gotta hit those shots, and most of them have to be headshots, man. Even with me right about now, since the update has started, about 60% of my kills are actually headshots. So I'm starting to aim higher a little bit more now, rather than just for the body, especially on Vikendi, due to the fact there is actually a lot of level 3 vest on the ground as well as helmets, so I figure if I just put more shots into the head, that'll be better than just putting out 5 shots to the body. I'd rather put 5 shots to the head than to the body, because that would break the helmet and end it right there, rather than me shooting them in the body and it'll just drag on for some time, dude. It definitely will. Also, to help with that recoil, that ties in with tip number 2. Make sure you pop boost. If you have 2 bars of boost, it'll actually help with the recoil if you max out the bars. So where the not the plus sign, where the medical sign is, pretty much, if you get it to that 4th bar and max it out, it'll actually help with the recoil and give you a little bit more health as you're in the gunfights, which definitely helps, dude. Healing during the gunfight is a big thing, and that's what having the boost maxed out does. You don't have to have it completely filled for it to help with the recoil. You just have to have it into the 3rd bar. Once you get that 3rd bar somewhat white, it'll actually start helping with the recoil. And dude, the stability after shot is amazing. So now I constantly pop boost. I average about 4 boosts pop the game, dude. So whenever I get boosts, I definitely try and pop them more than likely as often as possible, especially if I know I'm getting ready to head into some sort of heated gunfight. And tip number 3, guys, with this tip, I've been doing it a lot now also. As you guys may have been seeing in some of my gameplays, a lot of the time I first person aim now, but I'm starting to switch it up. I'm starting to actually just 3rd person peek and pre-fire, and then go into my ADS completely, dude. Or I just hold it completely with the 3rd person sight and then just pre-fire around the corner before I get there. Because if your weapon's already firing before the person gets around, well, before you completely get around the corner, you already have an advantage on your opponent, and it's a big leap in game. I wouldn't recommend doing it, you know, when there's a lot of people around or squads or anything like that, but I would definitely do it when I'm 100% sure that I have that kill directly in front of me and I can make sure that I can finish the job, dude, because in squads it can definitely be something major. And this next tip I actually just recently started doing since Vikendi came out. I've noticed that I've been doing a lot of building to building play, running from building to building, and typically a lot of people chase throughout these buildings, especially if you just hear random footsteps. So something I've been doing a lot now is, if you guys didn't know, when you run through doors, if they're already open, you can actually just run through the door, and as you're running, just press square. I would recommend pressing it like 2 or 3 times. It'll actually close the door if you're running through. That's something I've been doing as of recent, just to, you know, try and stop people from being on my back and give me somewhat of cover. I actually like doing that. Instead of having to completely just turn around and close the door, you can actually just run through and spam square, and it'll close right behind you without you having to turn around. So that's definitely something big that I've noticed since I've been playing Vikendi. Like, that's something I've been introducing into my game. Okay, and the next tip is not purely for solos. I would think it would primarily just be for duos and squads, but be sure to share your inventory, dude. I've been noticing a lot of people don't really share their inventory with their teammates. They just hoard everything for themselves, like ammo, med kits, all kinds of stuff, but your team actually needs your help. It is appreciated if you could drop some 5.56 occasionally, or just drop med kits, whatever the team needs. If you have an abundance, definitely be sure to share, because that's a big part of the game, making sure that all your teammates are alive with you, because that gives you the biggest advantage possible. Like, there's no better advantage than having all your teammates alive in that ending circle in the top 10 moment, because it's huge, because there's strength in numbers. I'd rather have 4 teammates than just 2 very good teammates being up, because I mean, it's strength in numbers. Everybody has a reason for being on the team pretty much, and that is something major. Alright, and with this next tip, I've noticed a lot of people actually don't do this, but when you heal, if you guys didn't know, you can actually move around a little bit. You don't have to actually just completely stop. I would not recommend stopping at any point at all in PUBG, dude. Like, just standing still for a sheer amount of seconds, like more than 10 seconds, dude, there's a chance when you finally up and decide to move, you're already down. It's pretty much over with. There is no moving at that point. You're already down, dude, because that just leaves you being an open headshot, dude. It's the cleanest headshot possible on a target that isn't moving. So definitely be sure to move around when you heal. And now on to tip number 7. Something that I've been testing and messing around with as of recent is taking my shoes off while actually running across different objects, more or less, I would say. Not objects, but different kind of surfaces. Like, because I've noticed the footsteps make different noises, like whether you're running in grass, asphalt, or the snow. So I definitely recommend taking off your shoes when you're running through grass. But when you're in the sand, I've noticed it sounds a little bit louder. I'm not 100% sure how true it is, but to me, I've noticed personally there's a difference. So I would definitely recommend trying that out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if you try it out, and exactly what do you think about it. Do the footsteps sound any louder or any different to you? Because I feel like they are a little less loud on certain surfaces if you're barefoot. So I definitely think that'll play a huge role, especially with the way people use headsets and sound hoard in this game, dude. The footsteps are amazing in this game, so you kind of want to give the enemy the least advantage possible. You want to be able to assure your kill and not be heard, you know. Footsteps are really key in this game, and if you guys don't already use a headset or some earbuds, I would definitely recommend it, because it does nothing but elevate your game. Being able to hear and see, bro, it is ridiculous. So for you guys that do have your audio coming through the TV, that's still good, but if you have headphones, you know exactly which way, you know, people are actually coming towards you from, and which way gunshots are coming from, because I've noticed the gunshots are relatively loud in this game too, and if someone has on a suppressor, it's kind of hard to know where they're shooting from unless you're paying attention to the angle that they're shooting from. And that leads me into tip number 8, guys. Whatever you do, think about the gunfight before you head into it. You do not have to press every single gunfight. Just because someone shoots at you does not mean you have to return fire at them immediately. You can just chill out and be sure, get to a spot where you're sure there's an even chance. If someone's pushing you from the top of a hill and you have buildings to your side that you can possibly get to, or a wall or some trees for possible cover, definitely try and make that power play, dude. Positioning is very, very big in PUBG. There's spots where you think you're, you know, in a closed environment where you can't be hit, and sometimes you may take shots from behind. So definitely be sure to use free look while you're in your cover too, just to be sure you can actually cover ground and make sure no one's actually walking up on you. And that also plays into key with having that headset, because if you're not paying attention behind you, that headset can actually make it to where you can hear footsteps and know when people are walking either behind you or up on side of you, and you can actually stay on your toes and have a sense of awareness as far as what's going on. Tip number 9. This is something huge that I've recently learned since I started playing, like I would say probably about 2 weeks ago. Since the Vikendi, you know, PTS came out, I've been experimenting and I've been learning stuff non-stop since I've been playing, and I've learned that you actually take flinch. You actually have a wider, well, bigger flinch when you get shot and your vest actually gets knocked off you. You flinch a lot harder, so that means your shots won't be centered. So say for instance you're shooting at someone and then they shoot back at you and break your vest as you're shooting at them, you're gonna recoil a lot higher. Your recoil will be out of this world. So I definitely recommend, if your vest is low, check that number. And how you do that is open up your inventory and it gives you an exact number. So say for instance you got on a level 3 vest and it gets damaged and it gets put down to like 169 or 158, somewhere in that range, something that's lower than 200 pretty much. I would definitely go ahead and recommend just switching out and putting on that level 1 vest, because that gives you a fresh 200 points. And that, bro, you can't have your vest breaking on you mid gunfight, dude. The recoil is dramatic, and it's definitely a game changer. It's something that either decides whether or not you're going to win the gunfight or lose it. So that is definitely something major you want to be sure that you're paying attention to. I find myself doing it all the time now. It honestly can't be helped. Anytime I know I took damage to my vest, I instantly go and check my vest and see what number it's at and decide whether or not I need to, you know, go down a tier vest if I find one that's not broken or something of that nature. And we are officially at tip number 10 now. So we're halfway through the video. Let me know in the comment section if you guys made it this far. Let me know, do you think these tips have been helpful thus far? Has any of this already been known to you? Or even add tips into the comment section that you guys find to be helpful. And my number 10 tip is don't overwatch one area. Pretty much no tunnel vision, guys. So at some time, you know, you actually, when you're playing the game, you kind of get so focused in on that one guy that's possibly running across the field or something like that, and you're only watching him and you start chasing him, but you're not paying attention to your surroundings. It could typically lead you into getting jumped, or, you know, just being pummeled 3v1 type gunfights, because people are positioned and that person might have just been a decoy to draw you in. The person may have saw you already, but if you pay attention to the clues around the map and pay attention to where they're headed and keep, you know, a far distance back on them, you'll be able to see more or less when people are actually getting ready to attempt to jump you, or you will know if you're moving into a position that you can't possibly handle by yourself, and you could call your squad mates and actually come help you. Because I know sometimes it's really hard not to get tunnel vision. Some of these people look like straight deers out here in the woods, man. It's like looking at deers going across a field and you're like, oh, I want to hunt the deers, and then you go to follow the deers and before you know it, you're mauled by a saber-toothed tiger. It just goes like that, man. You can't have that happening, bro. You got to make sure you're paying attention to all your surroundings, making sure everything is in check, and making sure no one is around to actually jump you. Make sure you get that kill though. I know you want that kill, but you gotta make sure you're not moving into a position to where you could get possibly harmed. Alright, so my big tip for number 11 would have to be watch footstep tracks. Now this here is specifically for Vikendi at the current moment, because as everyone knows, you can only see footsteps on Vikendi. Now something huge that I wanted to let you guys know with that is watching for the footsteps is something that's very, very major, because if you pay attention to the footsteps, you can lead yourself directly to groups of enemies and you can be able to have the drop on them without them knowing that you're even following them. You could be following them from 5 minutes out, 2 minutes out, up to 10 minutes out, dude. It takes 10 minutes for footsteps to actually leave the play zone, which is ridiculous, dude. So eventually, as the wind keeps gusting and the snow keeps coming down in Vikendi, the footsteps are filled back with snow, so you'll lose track of the trail more or less. And that is something that is huge, I feel like, in this map. So I would definitely recommend watching out for footsteps, but don't get too carried away with them, because sometimes those footsteps can lead you right into a trap. Sometimes people actually use their footsteps to set up traps for the more advanced people that play the game, which is something that is huge. So you can use that how you want to, which leads into my 12th tip. Definitely be sure not to walk in the snow if you're not trying to set people up. I would recommend either walking in the grass or walking on the concrete. And even if the concrete has snow on it, it still doesn't leave a foot trail, which is something that is major, guys. Like, staying out of the snow is something big to moving around the map, because like I said, it takes 10 minutes for your footsteps to clear up. So every now and then I would recommend jumping, or trying to throw off your footstep pattern just a little bit, just to throw the enemies off into a loop, because like I said, they'll follow you, and that's something that is huge with this map. I've noticed I've been tracked down multiple times on this map, and that is really a scary thing to happen. Even when you aren't paying attention, someone is paying attention to you on Vikendi. Also, crawling does not help when you're going through the snow. That also leaves a track. Vehicles leave a track also going through the snow. So any way you decide to go through the snow, you have some sort of footprint or some kind of imprint on the snow to let people know where you're going. Even if you take off your boots, that actually does not help, just to let you guys know. And my next tip, which would be tip number 13. This tip is specifically for first-person perspective players. If you guys didn't know, with the Vikendi update, they made it to where you could change your field of view. Now, pretty much what that means, guys, is with the field of view, it shows you pretty much how much space is around you. Instead of your characters being able to just see from their eyes, more or less, you can make it to where it's a little bit wider on screen, so you can see more stuff on the screen. It's not just all close up in your face, being seen from the eye point of view from your character. Because if you guys didn't know, prior to them adding in the field of view, you were just pretty much seeing from your character's eye level, so that's why it made it feel like you were much shorter in game, and that kind of helps with that. The field of view is something that really helps with gunfights. Also, being able to see around your scope also, because I know sometimes it zooms in on the screen, so that is definitely something major with that. Also, something else that was new that came with the update that I would recommend doing, which is my tip number 14. You can actually widen your mini map, and how you do that is you hold the touchpad on the PS4, and if you hold it, it actually makes your mini map bigger on screen, like how it does in Battlefield. Rather than you actually having to open up your map, you can just do that, dude. And that is some really huge that's been added in on this update that I myself personally have been using, because it saves so much time rather than just opening up the map to see how far you are from wherever you're trying to get. You can just do that instead. And a tip to actually help with gunfights, which is tip number 15, that pretty much I was saying earlier, stay boosted, dude. There is way too many meds on Vikendi to find, dude. You can pop so many meds. You find constant pain pills, adrenaline shots, especially if you're landing at the bigger places. I've noticed I tend to get a lot of med supplies on this map, and typically I'm stacked to the max with med supplies. By the time in-game rolls around, I'm sitting at a full adrenaline bar, and I'm ready to take on anybody that's ready to fight at this point. So it definitely makes a huge impact on your game staying boosted. Now, this next tip is for the people that have trouble with directions, and what I mean by that is call outs, guys. Like, I know sometimes you're in game chat, or you'll hear me say like they're to our right or to our left. I'm trying to work on that personally myself. Those aren't the best call outs to have, guys. So what I recommend doing is a feature that's been in the game that I've recently just started messing with. It's actually a direction marker. So the compass at the top that has the numbers saying northwest, south, 240, 135, different coordinates at the top. What you could actually do with that, if you see a person in that general direction, you can press R3 down, which is your right stick, just click it down, and when you click it down, it marks that general direction for your entire squad. Instead of you just having to call out like left or right, you can say that number and press it, and it'll give the exact positioning from where they're standing at to where the person is. So that is definitely a big help, because you may call out 105, but it may be a little bit different for somebody else. So that directional marker plays a huge role in game and can really affect the call outs and be some major to helping your squad get that chicken dinner. And tip number 17, guys, is actually going to bounce back to one of my earlier tips of talking about watching for footstep tracks. Also on this map, that's not the only thing you have to look out for. You also have to look out for bushwookies and ghillie suits, guys. The ghillie suit is really nice on this map, guys. It is purely white, so if you're not paying attention, you can really get caught off guard by it. I've been caught off guard numerous times by ghillie suits on this map, so you really have to be paying attention. I feel like this is probably one of the best ghillie suits in a video game I've ever seen, dude, because just the way you blend in with the snow is just beyond all, bro. It is just ridiculous, because the whole map is already kind of snowy for the most part. Most people don't stick out because they already look like snow with the ghillie suit on, and you don't have to really render in the snow like how you render in the grass. So even out at a distance, most people still look like a part of the snow, so you really have to be paying a lot of attention to that. And what I mean by bushwookies are people hiding in bushes. Now, I know this was a classic Fortnite tactic at a point in time. I never thought I would see it in PUBG, but the bushes on this map look so good in detail that if a person is hiding on the inside of them, you at some time can't really notice them. You really have to pay attention to notice people in bushes on here, and that is a big thing I've noticed with this map in particular. Just Vikendi itself, most people are just camping in bushes on this map. I've never actually seen it on any other map outside of this. So the first time it actually happened to me, I kind of flipped out because it was something completely new to me, and I was like, I didn't think that would be a strategy I would ever see in PUBG. But on to our next tip. Tip number, this is 17. Okay, yeah, so that was tip 16, guys. This is tip 17. Tip 17, I would definitely recommend on Vikendi in specific. Now, this can go for all other maps too, but this is something huge in Vikendi. Staying away from windows. Like, dude, being in the window, running near a window, just a window in general, is intimidating to me now, because either people see you from inside, like from inside with the window, and you can't really see them at a certain distance, or either you're gonna be in the window and you can't see someone else because a certain distance of the snow. Like I was saying with the ghillie suits, if someone is hiding with a ghillie suit out in the snow and you're looking through a window, it's kind of a little bit different to notice. It's a little bit harder to notice, especially on the eyes. The map looks great, but man, just trying to spot that ghillie suit, the map looks so good that it goes with the ghillie suit really well. The only time you'll really be able to notice if someone is in a ghillie suit is if they're running through the grass. Even if they lay down in the street, at certain times they'll just look like a snow patch in the street. So you definitely want to stay away from windows and just make sure you're actually safe, dude. Windows are intimidating, especially with the amount of buildings that are actually in Vikendi. And the next tip I have, which would be tip 19. This recently got added with the Vikendi update. This can help on all maps. If you guys didn't know, in your settings there is actually an option for auto reload. So when you're shooting at people and you run out of bullets, instead of your gun clicking when you pull the trigger, it'll instantly start reloading, and I feel like that is something major. I know it's kind of a newbie thing to do. It takes away from how advanced the game really is and how much more complex it is, but for the people that wanna, you know, just run it like that, I feel like it's personally really helpful, especially when I'm in close quarters combat situations and I'm running into multiple people, and once I'm in a gunfight, I'm not really thinking about reloading until I hear the clicking. Now I'm trying to reload, but if that auto reload is on, it'll naturally start doing it, so it won't be anything major on your half. It's not like, it's one of those things where just because it's on kind of gives you a better chance of living rather than it being off and you having to manually reload. It's not like it'll get you killed because you already got to reload either way it goes, but this will just speed up the process a little bit. And my final tip, which is tip number 20. This tip in specifically goes toward Vikendi. Something huge has changed about the game. As you guys know, this map's a little bit smaller than most, so pretty much what actually ends up happening on this map, it's a 4x4, which is the smallest map PUBG currently offers pretty much. What happens is the bubble time is a little bit faster, but the bubble moves slower. Like, if you guys have played any other map and then came and played Vikendi, you guys would notice like the difference between the bubble speed. Use the bubble as your friend. Like, the way the blue wave comes in is really slow, so you can kind of hang at the edge of the border of it and you can sort of move in towards the end. Once you're in your final situation, pretty much you will have somewhat of an advantage rather than, you know, actually just being strictly in the middle of the circle already. You can kind of play the edge unless there's a building or something you could use to get the dub. But those are my top 20 tips for the new Vikendi update. These go for Vikendi and some tips actually go towards the normal maps. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys learned anything new, let me know in the comment section what you guys learned. I'm quite interested to see. And if you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to sub.